Good morning and welcome to Judging by the Cover, the gaming review show where I rate games that I have not played and score them based on the store pages. Now, just like last week, I do want to preface this review with the clarification that while I generally do try to keep political discourse out of my reviews and gameplay series, I do believe in essential human rights. So this month is dedicated to the stories and the struggles of dystopian narratives and the fight that goes against them and against the powers that be that would make these things a reality. So, for those of you out there who are demonstrating and who are standing up for your rights, please be safe and do what you must to return safely to your homes and families. With that out of the way, it's time to dive right into a 1984 grade border checkpoint in Arstozocan. Apologies if I butcher this pronunciation because I'm pretty sure that's a made up country, but that's where we're at here. Papers, Please by Lucas Pope is. It seems like less of a development studio name and more of just a dude's name. Steam has him shown with two games under his belt, being Papers, Please from 2013 and Return of the Obra Dinn from 2018, both of which look like they would have been at home on early PCs of the 80s and 90s. Honestly, that's not a dig. These kinds of throwbacks to old style graphics in ways that explore the narrative and the medium are genuinely cool to see, I think. With that, we're going to go ahead and jump right into part one of our review, the trailers. Now, we get a singular trailer on Steam, just the one. It's incredibly simple, but it does convey the exact kind of thing that I think needs to be seen in these trailers. The graphics and animations are incredibly simple, but they set the tone for the late Soviet inspired checkpoint station that would fit right into novels like 1984 or Fahrenheit 451. The gameplay shown looks about as simple as you could expect it to be for something that tells you to check passports, but the music accompaniment and, frankly, the ugly character art does a lot of heavy lifting to make the intent and the setting clear. We even see what happens when somebody tries to jump the border fence. Hopefully, events like that, which would clearly be out of our control, do not penalize us in the eyes of our governing overlords when we're playing. As the trailer progresses, the passports and documents do appear to become more intricate, with heads up displays highlighting discrepancies that should guide your decisions. While a welcome thing to see up front, in a way, I do hope that those notices just happen in the early days of playing and maybe taper off as get more experienced and play with a little more depth and intensity. You know, to make the later stages more challenging as the player learns about the game and what kind of things to look out for. Though maybe an easy mode that keeps those notifications in place would not be unwelcome. The trailer does wrap up with a bit of a building crescendo and sped up interactions with characters in your checkpoint station, which seems to suggest a growing urgency during the campaign. Overall, I would say that this one and only trailer we have is an easy S tier presentation, conveying everything we could need to know about it in just under 2 minutes. With that, part two of our review, we have screenshots. We do have the title screen, which shows story and endless. So it's showing two game modes right here on the title screen before we even get to anything to do with the description. That's kind of cool. We know that there's multiple story modes now. We do have our checkpoint screen with a welcome message here. Welcome to your new position at Greston Border Checkpoint. Stamp passport entry visa and return documents to entrant. Entry is restricted to Arstotzkan citizens, Arstotzkan citizens only. Deny all foreigners. Glory to Arstotska. We have another shot, and this is it's a very simple splash that they're showing for the gameplay here. They are giving us exactly what we can expect to look. We get our instructions, we get our client here that we're checking, uh Ministry of Admission rules and regulations. So you have a bit of a guidebook for what you're supposed to like the rules. Newspaper splashes here after 6 long years. Can the Ministry of Admission keep us safe? Families to reunite. So this is about reuniting families by letting citizens through the checkpoint. But of course, there's going to be various other things, other struggles. It's pretty much all about border security, which in the modern political climate can be a very sloppy discussion to navigate. We do see here we got somebody coming in trying to give you a pass to a strip club, so you know they're trying to bribe their way in. So we do see that there are going to be cases where people try to get you things going on. Discrepancy detected. It's there's telling us a discrepancy, and you can interrogate people, ask them questions directly. It seems we have payroll, so we have to manage our payrolls. We got savings, we got salary. Apparently, you can work days and not get paid, in which case you and your family, your son's birthday is in 2 days. Your family might be fucked. So they're telling us right here in the screenshots that this is also a story about not only you checking the passports, but you trying to provide for your family in the process, which I think, as far as dystopias go, can bring an interesting discussion out about what, like, where to balance this. Do you flee your dystopian society? Do you have the resources to flee safely? Uh, what about your family? Or are you going to try and just ride it out and take care of things until something else happens? Like, there's a lot of narrative room there. Whether or not we actually see that narrative, I don't really get that impression from the trailer or these screenshots so far, but there is a hint of something there that could spark some discussion. We do see character being entrant being searched, has a gun taped and strapped to her back, so you know that you probably shouldn't be letting them through. You're under arrest for associating. So there are game over scenarios where you are arrested for possibly letting the wrong people through. Conditional entry to sovereign nation is hereby granted to. So this person has an actual entry permit, but of course you probably also have to double check, follow up, and make sure that the permit is valid, that it's not counterfeit. Um, so many little situations here. Wait, that screenshot I saw earlier, was that a wanted poster that was showing the discrepancy? Not that one. Ah, yes. So this person comes in and their photo matches the Ministry of Justice wanted criminals. So that's why that one was showing discrepancy. So it's not necessarily a discrepancy as in the papers themselves are faulty, but they might have some other outstanding warrant. Kostava Jory's coming in here. Men Bestberg. Honestly, that ID seems, now I don't know if this is just me thinking in terms of real world, but the ID seems shady because to have the person's sex as men and not male or something, that maybe that's a game thing, maybe that's me. We have, screenshot here showing time modes. Timed for processes many travelers in 10 minutes. Perfection, game over at your first penalty. And endurance, play until balance goes negative, avoid penalties. So we have some extra game modes here to kind of deal with things. That's kind of cool. We have we did see this in the trailer, somebody jumping the border wall and getting targeted down to get gunned down by the guards. Labor lottery, the October labor lottery is complete. Your name was pulled. So on top of that, employment is conditional on, your name being pulled out of a hat. Great hiring practices, country. My presence was requested. So this one, a diplomatic authorization. Hopefully, again, also one of those situations where they actually have valid documents. So the part two, that's our screenshots. The screenshots do a total service. I know I basically sang the praises of the trailer, and the screenshots are giving us that same thing. They show us a lot of things, like a lot of the small things in the game that you can expect to look out for. And when you have an eye for these, you can kind of tell that it's like, oh, okay, so I'm kind of getting the idea here, especially when you just kind of weigh it with what you expect out of real world to gameplay parallels with, bribery, faulty IDs, wanted criminals, people trying to cross the border when they have all that stuff going on. Now, going on into the store description, part 3 of our review, store description. There is also apparently a short film here shown, Papers, Please, the short film by Kingdom Productions. I know nothing about Kingdom Productions, starring Igor Savochkin. I do not know who that is. But the fact that they went and made a short film based on the game, I don't know if it was like a cross promotion thing or if somebody got together and was like, hey, can we go ahead and make something like this about your game? I'm not sure what the story is there. I kind of want to look into that, and anybody is free to just yell at me in the comments for being an uneducated swine about that. But it's a cool thing to see that this kind of independent project came out of that, and I think I'm going to go ahead and check out at least that film. It is, I believe, the film is free. You can search it up on Steam and just check that out yourself at your leisure. So, about this game, congratulations, the October Labor Lottery is complete. Your name was pulled. For immediate placement, report to the Ministry of Admission at Greston Border Checkpoint. An apartment will be provided for you and your family in East Gresland. Expect a Class 8 dwelling, glory to Arstotska. So, very much dystopian, totalitarian verbiage used there. The communist state of Arstotska has just ended a 6-year war with neighboring Kolechia and reclaimed its rightful half of the border town Greston. Your job as now that part right there, I have to wonder how much of that is actually true, especially as we do see some dissidents trying to hop the border and like lobbing munitions at the guards at the border. So there's clearly some people who aren't satisfied with the state of the border and town occupation at the border. Your job as immigration inspector is to control the flow of people entering our Stotsken side of Greston from Kolechia. Among the throngs of immigrants and visitors looking for work are hidden smugglers, spies, and terrorists, using only the documents provided by travelers and the Ministry of Admission's primitive inspect, search, and fingerprint systems. You must decide who can enter Arstotska and who will be turned away or arrested. And it does tell us that Papers, Please includes brief pixel art violence and pixel art nudity. We did see like the body scan that showed the firearm and the fire and the weaponry going off. The narrative reflects mature themes related to crime, smuggling, immigration, border control. It's kind of what you would expect out of this. The trailer made no qualms about that, but it wasn't so grotesquely graphic that you couldn't go ahead and like suggest this to a wider audience, like at least maybe like teen years or more, if I were to gauge that without looking at it, the actual, rating of the game. But that's what we have to go off there. The store description gives us a very brief. Now, the store did initially come out in 2013, and the description does kind of reflect that. I know a lot of newer games that we look at have graphic splashes loading up the description plays, whereas this one is all text, but the text is pretty much all it needs to tell you what you're in for. In fact, the description page could probably be thrown out entirely, given that this trailer and the screenshots do such a service to tell us what we're in for. Now, part 4, the game analysis. Graphically, the game is very simple. We get a view of the lineup at the checkpoint, and then the view of our desk where we see the the person at the border. We see the documents they pass through the window, and we see our rules, our regulations that we can reference for all of that. Um, I will say though, the graphics are a bit ugly by a modern standard. The character portraits are, quite frankly, a little gross. But given the setting, the tone, and the atmosphere and the themes of the game, this is not the worst way to depict your game graphically. Honestly, I think it serves the purpose of the narrative, the setting. The drab colors and everything, and the simple pixel work, especially the simple pixel work, makes it look like the game should run pretty well, since it won't require like as much of a robust and heavy machinery to really process everything. The simp It's simple, it's effective, and like I said, the colors and the portraits, they look ugly, but they service it. They're ugly, it not in a way that is unintentional. It looks like everything about it is very much on purpose. I can see that the effort and the love went into the design to depict exactly what they wanted. The sound, now with the sound, all we get for the sound is this background music from the trailer. We don't get any narration in the trailer. We don't hear much of the like tactile clicking sounds going on that some games have in menus. We don't get any of that. We just get that one melody of the background music, which honestly, I don't even know if that song is going to be a mainstay of the game. I don't know that I can really judge the game's sound design based on the trailer, as that background music in the trailer could just be for the cinematic presentation, but at least as far as that presentation goes, it does its service to, again, emphasize that narrative and that drab and that desperation that you expect to be in. The gameplay, again, simple but very effectively shown in the trailer and the screenshots. I feel like even if they're just showing like split seconds of gameplay at a time, because of how simple the game is, it looks like they do an excellent job of conveying exactly the kind of gameplay you can expect. The UI and the menus, the game is basically all UI and menus. So we do get a pretty good, clear view of that. All the way from the checkpoint, the passports, we can even pause on screenshots and pause on moments in the trailer to see exactly what the passports look like, what kind of discrepancies the game is telling us to look out for, all of these things. And the pricing of the game is honest. Now, honestly, this is one of the things that makes or breaks games for me. I know I say that in almost every one of these reviews, but the pricing of the game, full price. Papers, Please is on Steam for $10 at full price. Now, I did double check the Switch eShop, which I feel like a game like this would be right at home on the Switch, given a game like this on handheld would be it'd be a nice thing to like pick it up, go, just kind of play a couple of in-game days in your downtime or something. But it's not available on there. I only see it on Steam. If it is on other systems or consoles, other people, fill me in. Let me know what shops or what storefronts you're looking at for that. But $10 on Steam, I think is an incredibly fair price. It's not very expensive. I know some people would probably look at something like this and maybe say, I'd like to wait for it to go on sale. But if the urge or the demand strikes, I could see myself easily dropping the $10 on this game, even at the time it initially came out. Now, if $10 at launch in 2013 is honestly more expensive than $10 now in 2026. So nowadays, just because of inflation alone, the game has, in a way, kind of gotten cheaper. But at the same time, I feel like the price is extremely fair. I think this game deserves the attention and the accolades and this overwhelmingly positive reviews that it has on Steam, based only on what I'm seeing here. The price is not overly exorbitant. I could see a developer going and making something like this and trying to sell it for $20 or $25, really feeding on that nostalgia angle. But at $10, it's very accessible. I think a lot of us could drop like one restaurant meal and easily have be like, you know what, yeah, I maybe I don't eat out at my favorite restaurant like this weekend or something, and then that saves me the $10 for this. Not to be like one of those like, oh, just stop eating, but like $10 is not going to break the bank for most of us. And for those of you where it would break the bank, I could fully understand waiting to go on sale. Steam's having sales all the time. This is the kind of thing where absolutely like wish list it, keep an eye out for a sale. But I could actually see myself buying this at full price, especially if I plan to go and do like some kind of dystopian stream series, or if I go and try and do something like how I do with my Stardew Valley and my Fields of Mistria series, where the I'm doing like each in-game day is an episode and just kind of playing through as a series. I could easily see myself doing that with this, and that $10 is not a deal-breaking price point for me. So, with that, we're going to get to our final part of the review with our rating. Papers, Please by Lucas Pope. You have an incredible presentation here that is simple, and even though it was released and initially put together in 2013, I don't see anything that has come out where there are updates or new content or anything about the game. But even given that lack of new content, what I'm seeing is what looks like a very complete and intentional project that somebody has put together and put out into the world. I am going to give the Papers, Please on the Steam store page a perfect 10 out of 10 as far as presentation. Now, again, this is a review of the store page. Whether or not the game itself is good would require a little bit of an analysis into the game. But considering that the game is also more than a decade old, I almost feel like most of the people who see this review maybe have already played it. Feel free to let me know down below if you think I'm full of shit, or if you think that maybe me singing the praises here based on this presentation. I just feel like Lucas Pope went and made something that looks interesting, that can spark some conversation, and that I think is actually even more relevant today than in the time it came out. Kind of like I have a passion for some games like this, like Road 96. I have an absolute adoration for, but it's like in depending on the social climate of the day, things like this can easily become more relevant. So with this kind of thing, I feel like I would recommend this to basically anybody and everybody. Even if this isn't the kind of game that you would normally go for, I feel like getting into something like this, it could be a little heavy. It feels kind of like reading 1984, where it could be a difficult read. It could be a difficult game to play, not because of any actual challenge, but because of the material. But I feel like the conversations that can come from it are important to have, and are vital for making sure that we can keep an open mind and have a compassion for our fellow human being. So with that, I rate the presentation of Papers, Please as a perfect 10. The game looks like it sets out to do exactly what they wanted. Very intentional, very clear, and even with the ugly graphic style, you can tell that it was very intentional. They wanted to set it within a certain time period. They wanted to set it within a certain tone, give it its very distinct motif. And I can easily see why people have praised it on Steam with such positive reviews without even getting into the reviews. But then there's all these other games that it says it's like. Honestly, the Oberdrin and the Iron Nest might be some of the closest looking ones as far as keeping a theme and tone of the game. So yeah, that's my review. That is my analysis of this. Now, everybody else out there who might have some different opinions of, especially if you've played the game, if you've played the game, you might share my thoughts, or you might think that again I'm full of shit because I'm reviewing games that I've never played. Uh, that's why we call it judging by the cover, which, yes, I understand that is a very dumb premise for a review show, but that's why I do it because I don't let the stupid hold me back. So, thanks for everybody for tuning in. I do hope that you all stay, like I said in the beginning, stay safe out there. If you're out there, make sure you have a way home to your families and your loved ones. We do really need to stick together and try and take care of each other in times like this. So, yeah, now, the other stuff here about the game and about the presentation, they are my opinions. Uh, I didn't run these by anybody. I wasn't gifted any like free shit for this. This is just something to bear in mind. I fully welcome and accept a discourse and a constructive criticism and feedback when it comes to these things. So if anybody disagrees, by all means, let me know down below. I do occasionally respond to some remarks, and honestly, most of the comments that I do see, whenever I do get a couple here and there, I do like seeing them. Even if the comments are negative or overly critical, it's like, you know what? I appreciate you guys taking your time and, having that little bit of feedback. So for those of you who have purchased and played this, let me know your thoughts because I know at the time that this came out, it wasn't a huge stir, like it didn't hit the public face the way stuff like Among Us did, but at the same time, it did get some discussion when it came out. And again, I feel like based on what I'm seeing, it's even more relevant today than it was 13 years ago. Fuck, I'm old.